more bad injury news today and tried to take their frustrations out on Minnesota. P.J. Washington Jr. went right after the Wolves in this game, but his first 30-point game of the year was not quite enough to combat a big night for Minnesota's starters and an endless parade to the free throw line. Kyrie Irving finishes with 36, but in the end, the Mavs come up just short, and Minnesota takes the rubber match and the season series. 115-114 is the final as we welcome you to Mavs Center Court, presented by Legacy Precious Metals. Dana Larson along with Jeff Skin-Wade and Brian Damaris, and I don't like seeing those two walk off like that. I liked it when they were hugging and happy after big wins, right? On the doorstep here tonight, Skin, of what would have been a very satisfying and very important win. It's tough to take losses like this right now.
It's really tough to take losses like this right now because you're oh so close, and they're, like we said, you know, you look at the standings now jumbled up. There are no moral victories. I love the way they played, but ultimately they didn't get it done. And now, so the Mavericks didn't have two 30-point scores in a game all year long. They got them in back-to-back games, and it's back-to-back losses. Like, they got the stuff they need. They actually got bench points tonight, Brian. I couldn't believe that when you think about how thin this team is, and they're still coming up 1 point short.
And it's detailed. It's not getting those offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. There's two straight possessions where the Timberwolves had to get 5 points off those possessions on offensive rebounds. They really played well in the half-court defense, but they've got outrun 25 fast break points to 8. We talked about the free throw disparity. Little details make a difference in these clutch games. That's why those, you know, we magnify what happens at the end of the game, but throughout the game, some of those little things make a difference so that it is clutch and you don't have a 5-point advantage.
The free throw disparity is eye-popping. Minnesota going to the line 34 times in this game and making 30 of them. A couple of misses, though, late was sort of the reason the Mavericks still had the door open just slightly. Let's go back and just take a look at the final possessions here in this game, down 114-111 with about 11 seconds, and you got the ball in the hands of the guy that you feel really good about, Skin.
Yeah, and you know, I give Anthony Edwards a lot of credit on the defense there because he knew Kyrie was going to get a three, but right there, that little hesitation, Kyrie's not going to get that three in rhythm, and that's because Edwards didn't overcommit on the close, and it gave Kyrie a little something extra to think about. So it was a really tough shot. It was well defended. It was the guy you wanted to have. But that's pretty good defense by Anthony Edwards in the open court.
Yeah, let's hark back into Monday in Charlotte. You didn't really get a nice clean look when you were down 3, trying to get that. Again, playing, didn't call a timeout. You didn't have a timeout here. You knew you had to do it. I liked the ball in Kyrie's hands there. I kind of thought Minnesota would foul. They didn't. When you realize they wouldn't, if you try to do a pick and roll and try to get some opening, then they're going to send 2. And you're running, the clock's already at 5 seconds. You may not even get a clean look. I like the look he got. It just didn't fall. Yeah,
on a night, Brian's so right, on a night where Kyrie was seeing 2 defenders all night long, you don't want to bring a second defender into the equation. When I was thinking, all right, is he going to foul on the other side of half court? Is he going to let more time go? But clearly they just wanted to play it straight up.
There were a couple of possessions late in this game, too, in which the Mavericks played great defense until they didn't. It was the offensive rebounds that Minnesota was able to corral. This is the one that felt like sort of the backbreaker of the game here.
Yeah, they got 2 monster tonight, Brian.
They got 2 different offensive rebound opportunities here, and that 3 comes out of that. And then, you know, on the very, well, this was the 2, and then there was a 3 on another one that they got right of the possession right after this one. Again, when you're down 9, which they were at this point in a clutch game, which it was clutch earlier, every possession counts on both ends, Ken.
Mike Connolly, too, was frustratingly good tonight for them, and you saw him swoop in and grab one of those rebounds in that possession. And, you know, the Mavericks felt probably pretty decent about where he was coming into this game. Lowest percentage he was shooting of his career, averaging about 7 points. And then he wasn't going to miss tonight in this game, giving him just that extra offense that felt like a bonus, really, Skin, for them.
Yeah, and you look at that, and it's not just the points, it's the assists, but also look at the Mike Conley plus minus tonight, guys. When Mike Conley is on the floor for the Timberwolves, they're a plus 19. When he's not on the floor, it ain't good. In fact, the only other player, you had McDaniels and Randall with +5 and +6. They needed Mike Conley Jr. all night long to steady them. And when he wasn't on the floor, things were pretty frantic for the Timberwolves.
He puts everybody in the right position. He kind of quarterbacks the offense when Anthony Edwards isn't, and when he's getting trapped and the ball's out of his hands, he's able to distribute the ball, get that kind of mucky offense flowing a little bit, and he's able to hit those open looks tonight with that career high 18 points that you mentioned. You wanted to target him on the defensive end, but he was still able to hold his own enough and stay in the game and not be pulled. But when I look at this game from the Mavericks' perspective, listen, they played really good half-court defense. With the three ball not falling, they got 6 points in the paint. They went and attacked the basket. That was the mindset over and over again. They climbed back into this game and didn't give up. You know, they missed open looks, but, you know, as a coach, you want them to take the open looks. They just didn't fall. I don't know if this is a game that you're disappointed in the energy and the effort. I
think to your point, Brian, and we talked about this a little bit on the broadcast too, there's really only been one game since the last time we played Minnesota where you know, it felt ugly, and that was the Denver blowout, right? Like, they've been competitive in a lot of these games, but the problem is that you just keep taking that kick over and over and over, and you keep wanting things to go your way, and then you have the goaltend that doesn't go your way in New Orleans, and then you catch Charlotte on a day where they're going to hit every one of their threes, and you're not going to make yours. And so I'm not making excuses here. This is a good basketball game, and the Mavericks played really well on a night where they were missing, 7 key guys. There's teams in this league that regularly play 8 guys, right? The Mavericks were missing 7 guys for the most part that would be playing basketball, and they weren't here, and you lose by 1. And everything Brian just told you, it's right. Like, the Mavericks played a good basketball game. They came up 1 point short.
They got 79 points in street close tonight of their 115 a game, and they were still able to generate 114 here. As you mentioned, the only time they've had 2 guys in 30-point scoring, the 2 players you needed to step up did step up. You mentioned the bench points. Brandon Williams gave you good minutes. Omax was really effective and active in his minutes, energy, and effort, especially defensively. But your people are playing above their paper, and you have to be perfect down the stretch.
So many different combinations out on the floor, so many different lineups from game in and game out. Just for a little perspective on Minnesota's side, they've been incredibly fortunate on the injury front. They have 6 guys that have played all 44 games, and that includes a number of their starters in this game tonight. Anthony Edwards has not missed a game at all this season. They've had 3 different starting lineups. The Mavericks have had 21
in 44 games.
In 44 games. In 44 games. It gives you the perspective.
It's almost every other game.
The starting lineups in the NBA that have played the most minutes together is these Minnesota Timberwolves, and then the team they made the trade with, the New York Knicks, their starting lineup.
Look at that, 0 games missed.
It's unbelievable.
Combined.
Oh, joy.
0 games missed. Well, it is just, what is the situation for Jason Kidd and his Dallas Mavericks? Not fun for the head coach to be working through this, but in the end, some positives to take away that you hope pay off down the road for them. Let's hear from the head coach now as we take you downstairs.
Energy, our effort. Think about that tonight.
It was great. We played hard, and we gave ourselves a chance to win that game. Just a couple small things there late in the game. If down 1, come up with a rebound, maybe it's different. Kai has a good look at the 3, comes up short, but I thought the guys who played hard. We kept fighting and put ourselves in a position to win that game.
You guys have had a ton of these games where you're right there in the end, but what would you say was the difference tonight? Was it their free throw shooting, or was it the lack of perimeter shooting on you guys?
Yeah, they had 34 free throws, and we're attacking the paint, and we only got to the line 19 times, so we got to continue to keep attacking until the whistle's blown. But they stepped up and made their free throws. I think they were 30 for 34. But again, just coming down a stretch, you gotta be perfect if you're down, and unfortunately, we just couldn't get a rebound. We kept playing and kept fighting, and found ourselves in that game. And so, the energy and effort, as you asked the first question, was at a high. Everybody that played tonight, and there was a lot of guys who played.
How much of the not getting the rebound is that you guys sent doubles at Anthony Edwards, and what is that? On one hand, you want to double Edwards and force them to pass. On the other hand, it could lead to
yes. Yeah, that's a very good point. When you talk about a double team, you're going to give up something size-wise, and Edwards is the priority. He's so good, and so we wanted someone else to score it, and they found a way to get the rebound there late on his miss. And so just understanding, we just got to, as small as we got to fight. We got to, until they call or until you foul out, we got to use our fouls, or we got to be a little bit more physical. But I thought the group, again, energy and effort was high, and we fought to the end and just came up short.
What do you like about what you saw out of Maxey? How aggressive he was on the offensive end?
Yeah, he's great. He's on a minute restriction. We can play him 15 minutes, and so we try to use every minute that we can, or every second, wisely. Again, he's been great on this restriction, and so his ability to set screens, his ability to play defense, his ability to score for us was really high for us today. But he's been playing like that here of late, and we're going to continue to need him while we're shorthanded.
10 points off the bench for Maxi Kleber, 30 for P.J. Washington Jr., but the Mavericks fall 115 to 114 is the final. More on the postgame show coming up after this.
Mavs Center Court is brought to you by Legacy Precious Metals,